attention. Oh, yeah.
You're looking for capitals?
Navarre is one of the pupils who I taught his mum.
Is that right?
Yes.
Jackie de Saules first did playground duty at Howard Primary School in Croydon 25 years ago as a supply teacher. Now teaching those children's children, Jackie has recently won the London Primary Teacher of the Year award, and John Bayley has made a date to meet her.
I was nominated by some ex-pupils.
Were you?
And they sent in a nomination, and then obviously it has to be endorsed by the head teacher of your school. So John endorsed it with a bit of help from some other people, and then you get shortlisted, and it all goes from there. That was the whistle.
That must be the best nomination from students.
It was it was a great surprise, and it wasn't just one; it was a group of them.
What difference has it made to you?
I get people like you coming round and visiting.
Where could we possibly find when the school actually was opened?
In the logbook.
In the logbook.
Jackie's Year 6 class are currently compiling a child's guide to their school to be sent out to prospective pupils.
Past tense. The head teacher actually wrote in here at the time. So we now know the actual date Howard School opened was what date?
1898.
Can you read the month?
April the 25th.
April the 25th. And what it actually says next to it is admitted 27 children. So, certainly got a bit more crowded since then. Is that all right up there? Can we discuss what you're going to do?
Yeah, first we've got to do the...
So have you got a sketch in your book about how you think it might look? Third one is going to be about school uniform. And then the fourth one you can start doing about the history of the school, OK?
That would be good.
Yeah.
A picture of the logbook, maybe.
Yeah, we want it a bit smaller. Sure you don't want it in the middle where everyone can see it. No, but Drew, we want it... Yeah, I think that looks lovely. Do you?
Just one thing about this class is they look perfect. You've got a wide range of children coming to the school, and I expect they have their glorious moments just like they do elsewhere in London.
They do indeed.
So, what do you do? What does the school do to produce this fabulous studying environment?
Right from day one, we establish what we expect from them. And we basically expect perfection. So if they're not always perfect, they can at least be good. We set them the standards and we set what our expectations are, and we have this within the Howard School policy is that every child has a right to learn and the teachers have a right to teach. You sure you check? Yeah. Check it is the third.
Yeah, the light blue will be like the shit.
You know that there is a photo just of the badge on there?
Oh, we can stick that there in the corner, Drew. No, we can stick that in the middle. No, our picture's going to be in the middle.
I've been working with Jackie for 5 years, so we kind of know how each other work. We sort of feed off of each other.
I can see that she's dead charismatic in the class.
Oh, definitely.
How does she do it? What is it?
I think she's a one-off, to be honest with you. They love being taught by her. She makes the lessons so interesting.
And she takes them very seriously, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. I think she's found that fine line between... She's got a sense of humour and she'll have a joke with the children, but she knows how to control them, really.
Right, can you listen, please? The first thing is make sure you have saved what you have done. If you log off and then Mrs. Holdaway is going to put it so that we can have a chance to see what everybody's done on the big screen. Drew, who are you working with? Bethany. Let's go to Bethany first, because Drew likes the way his name comes in. Falling down.
One of the big gripes these days is that it's the central direction of education. You know, Ofsted, the national curriculum, literacy hour, numeracy hour.
Well, I'm very lucky because I'm not restricted to timetables in the sense that I have to do an hour of this, an hour of that. Obviously, I make sure I cover all the things that national curriculum requires me to, and teaching Year 6, you know if you've done that by the SATS results. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm allowed to be as free in my teaching as I want to be. Well, that's a very good start. Well done.
And the children respond well to that freedom. In a mixed ability school, where over a quarter of the pupils have English as an additional language, Jackie's class was in the top 5% nationally in last year's SATs.
Real learning happens like when you go out on trips and things like that, and first-hand observation, first-hand evidence, that's maybe being cut out somewhat by by the focus on, especially the numeracy, literacy, science. I mean, we try our best to still have a broad and balanced curriculum, but sometimes it's not always easy.
Lunchtime, a moment for reflection. But with her keen band of helpers, lunchtimes in Jackie's classroom are seldom restful.
Bring them over here, what you've got. These smaller ones, OK? Don't worry about that one, don't worry about that one, but all the ones that are sort of, they can be thrown away, OK?
There's 10 minutes left for the lunch break. As the late, great Frankie Howard would say, you're at it all the time. Short lunch breaks, preparation, paying attention to children all the time. Is that how you have to do it?
We work on the basis that we're one big team in this classroom, and so if I'm prepared to give up some of my time, they'll be prepared to give up some of their time, so if they need additional help with work or learning, then that's how we view it.
Do you work in the evenings as well?
I do.
Until when? Go on, be on. Tell the truth.
Certainly ran up to about midnight. Right, what I would like you to have out in front of you first is the work that you took home to do with the cans and also the bread. Now, I've already had conversations with some people. They found it a bit difficult, but I think if we go back over
Jackie
some of the
embarks
work
on
we
an
did last
afternoon of
week
science,
and remembering
revisiting
what we learned
last
from the
week's
videos,
topic
I think
before
you'll soon
tackling
see,
today's.
Actually, the answers were quite repetitive. If you just could remember what microbes like in order to survive. What's the first thing we learnt about microorganisms? What can you say about microorganisms? What's the first thing that comes into your mind?
Very tiny.
Very, very tiny, microscopic. Thank you, Javier.
Which they don't like extremely hot places.
They don't like extremely hot places. So what could we say, Jennifer, what could we say that they do like?
Not too wet, but...
Not too wet, not too dry.
They live in warm and damp places, but they also live in the air.
Right, so you've actually said 3 things that they like there. Are you able to sort that out in your brain and work out what it is you've said?
2 things crossed my mind. One was just the idea of overlearning. That cycle of what happens to bacteria. You really went at hammer and tongs several times over.
You've just answered brilliantly, but I'm not sure you're aware that you've answered brilliantly.
They're like heat, but not too... They like heat, but not too hot.
Right, so what was the word you used? They like it to be warm. I think there's sometimes a misunderstanding that just because you've done something with a class, they've learnt it. I think the better you get to know your class, you know how well they are responding by the way they answer your questions. And I know this class, and I know that I do have to go over things several times. It's somehow you just know when they've moved on a step, that learning has taken place. And what was the last thing that Jennifer mentioned?
Damp.
And dampness.
And I think, because when I was doing my homework, I thought, well, why would they not be able to live in a sealed up jar or a can? But then I realised it's because there's no air, and if they don't have air, they can't live in there.
See how easy it is when you just think. So, OK, we've talked about microorganisms. They're very, very tiny. They're microscopic. You need what to see them? Microscope to see them. One of the things I do focus on is the key vocabulary in any subject. And I think by repetition and getting people to repeat what other people have said and praising when somebody does automatically use the right vocabulary, it gradually becomes automatic that others pick up on that same vocabulary. They're focused on the best way of expressing themselves and of communicating what they know to each other.
The higher the quantity of mould.
Very well, very precise. The higher the quantity of mould. Anybody else have anything that they answered? Go on, have a go.
The greater rate of mould.
The greater the amount of mould. Good, well done.
You held the floor there for the best part of 35 minutes. I thought, look out, she's going to lose them. But you didn't. Why didn't you?
I try and get it so that they never sit there thinking, oh, well, she's talking over to that table and it won't be us. It could be anyone at any time. And I try and differentiate the questions so that there might be an easy question, something then one that needs a sort of higher order thinking skills.
No air.
Excellent. Everybody feels that there's an opportunity when they'll be able to take part to answer a question. Because I think the most important thing that making everybody feel that they can be successful in answering a question. Excellent. Give him a clap.
At last confident that the class understands the likes and dislikes of microbes, it's time to move on.
This is what? Solid, liquid or gas? Solid. Right. What about toothpaste? I'm just asking you. Right, talk to the person next to you and just see, why do you think it's a solid, liquid, gas?
Yeah, both can change, both shape and volume changes, and what else is liquid?
So it must be.
For me, I need to feel clear in my mind that I know what I'm going to teach without having to sort of keep referring back to books or whatever. So basically it's like learning a script each day. But I'm always open, if the learning goes off in a different direction, I'm always open to following that and then try and bring it back to what I wanted to get as the learning objective that day. Nobody wants to argue their point for gas. Drew, did you want to argue on behalf of a liquid?
A solid is something hard that can't change shape, and a toothpaste can change shape. Even though it's thick, it's still a little bit runny.
Tell me again. You've stepped at about midnight preparing all this. Just tell me what happens to your social life.
In what respect? Are you asking me out?
Television and all that, probably inappropriate, I dare say.
I mean,
but if I did, I wouldn't get a date from Monday through Friday, would I?
I mean, obviously for special occasions, I mean, one's prepared to... I know what I'm going to be teaching in the week and I know what needs to be marked straight away, but there are certain things that you know you can leave for a couple of days. So if you're well planned, I think, not just in what you're doing in school, but also in your social life, you can have a decent life.
Have children changed much over the last 25 years?
I think they've probably become more worldly. Children are children, aren't they? Although some of the public opinion is that education has got easier, I think some of the things they're having to learn now are certainly far beyond what I had to learn. Homework tonight. How are we going to separate the sand and the sugar? And in fact, some of the parents now with some of the homework are coming to say, this is hard. And I said, well, yeah, this is what's expected of them. And so I think it's quite an eye-opener for some of the parents to see what is expected of children by the time they're in Year 6. Thank you very much for this sense. Right, you want me to help write it down?
Yeah.
That was great. That was absolutely
Bye.
brilliant.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Lauren.
Bye.
I know that they think they know things, but when you actually get below the surface, they're just repeating words they've heard. They don't understand what is going on. In fact, we did something the other day. It's like walking through a wheat field. First time you walk through, what do we describe, Rita? The first time you walk through that field, what happens?
It comes down and it comes down.
It comes straight back up. But the more times you walk backwards and forwards along that pathway, what happens?
It's going to make a pathway.
It's sort of rote learning, but sort of trying to do it in a fun way too. But sometimes they take it out of you.
Were you tired at the end?
I'm always tired at the end. I mean, it would be wrong to say you're not tired. Yes, you are tired at the end of the day. Yes. But if you think you've made a difference, then you keep on doing it.